The Hamilton Harbour is located at the western tip of Lake Ontario. It is surrounded by the cities of Hamilton and Burlington. What once used to be an ecosystem thriving on biodiversity has now been severely impacted by the effects of human activities. While Hamilton became a thriving industrial city, the harbour was made into a successful shipping port. Industry took priority while the environmental protection of the harbour was set at a low priority. People began to recognize the impacts of pollution put into the harbour and its decaying conditions. In the 1960s, the Hamilton Spectator claimed that the bay had been turned into a huge potential cesspool, unfit for or unacceptable to human life, animal, or most forms of plant life. One of the things contributing to the harbor's pollution is the excessive amounts of wastewater that the Woodward wastewater treatment plant needs to treat. The city of Hamilton runs off of a combined sewer system. One single sewer system collects and handles both sanitary sewage directly from households and stormwater runoff. These flow directly into Woodward wastewater treatment plant for treatment and then get released into the Hamilton Harbour through the Red Hill Creek. In periods of heavy rainfall, these systems exceed their capacity and can overflow into the natural environment. The city of Hamilton constructed overflow tanks in the mid-1980s that would store excessive water until the wastewater treatment plant had the capacity to treat this water.
The approach we decided to take involves the implementation of a water tax on individual households, giving an incentive for household owners to reduce water consumption. In turn, this will reduce the water pressure for the Hamilton's wastewater treatment plant, and will prevent overcapacity of the treatment plant and decrease the possibility of overflowing pollution, especially in times of heavy precipitation. We are confident in the success of this strategy as we believe financial motivation is the most effective way to induce action and change. The significance of this approach lies in the fact that it will shift the overusage of water from a communal issue where everyone relies on everyone else to an individual responsibility. Similar to a carbon tax, a tax on water must be large enough to effectively induce change, yet also reasonable enough to keep citizens happy. This is why we propose a tax system incorporating the threshold water usage and the water usage tax brackets. The threshold will be the monthly amount of water usage in a household before one is subject to tax, and the tax brackets will determine the amount of tax a household must pay based upon the amount of water consumed per household. These predetermined numbers will be calculated with respect to the number of members of the household. As you can see from this graph, the recommended daily requirement for water consumption per person is 50 liters per day, equaling to 1,500 gallons per month. However, the average daily water usage for Canadians is roughly 329 liters per person, which is equal to 9,870 gallons per month. This means we consume a whopping 658% more than what is necessary. In order to effectively induce change, we propose a threshold of 50% reduction from the average. This means on average, each person can use 4,935 gallons per month. So although the tax rates are calculated per household, every additional member will be able to raise 4,935 gallons to the threshold limit. Exceeding this amount will activate our tax bracket system with rising tax rates as one moves up the bracket, which are determined based on percentage of water consumption exceeding this threshold. As you can see, there are 5 tax brackets, each corresponding to a percentage of the monthly threshold value consumed. The reason we have set the first tax bracket at 12%, which may seem high, is that we believe attaining a below threshold water consumption value is entirely plausible, given that it is only a 50% reduction from the average, whereas a recommended Canadian usage calls for an 85% reduction. The reason why the last tax bracket is 25% is because we want to heavily discourage anyone to reach this tax bracket, since it is the last one and consumers will not have to worry about increasing tax rates. These rates and calculations will clearly be stated alongside the monthly hydro bill. Tax revenue could then be used to further the cause and perhaps improve upon a treatment plant.
Our taxation method can be compared to a carbon tax. A carbon tax is a tax implemented on the use of fossil fuels in order to reduce the consumption of carbon by individuals. Similarly, our water tax will be implemented on households with high water consumption patterns in order to disincentivize the overuse of water. A similar strategy was utilized by 9 regions in China to reduce pressure on wastewater treatment plants. China noticed a great success with the tax implementation. After the tax was implemented in 2016, there was a 460 million ton decrease in water consumption in just 18 months. This study shows that a tax on high water consumption does work, and households may lower their water consumption if a tax is implemented. implemented. With lower household water consumption, pressure is taken off Hamilton's wastewater treatment plant and Hamilton Harbour can begin rehabilitation.
For households wishing to use less water, a solution we have come up with is the implementation of strategic water-saving mechanisms. For each water-saving appliances, it is estimated that up to 40% of water could be saved per year in each household. These strategies include efficient flushing toilets, shower heads with timers, and rain barrels. This will also help residents reduce their wastewater usage and help keep water levels safe in the harbor. GST and HST registrants collect tax at the 5% GST rate on taxable supplies. Our tax revenue of 5% will be split in half. 3% will go towards improving the wastewater treatment plants surrounding Hamilton Harbour. The other 2% will go towards making water-saving mechanisms for households much cheaper and more accessible. This will involve increasing funding for water-saving technologies.
Surveys will be given out to residents living in the Hamilton watershed with questions concerning their willingness to accept a tax increase if it results in better ecosystem health in Hamilton Harbour. Even though raising taxes scares the public and is normally an unpopular procedure, it is necessary to tax overconsumption of water to see an improvement in the public's water use. Another survey given out to residents will question people's willingness to pay for water-saving appliances in households to help reduce water consumption. From this, we can get an idea how much we should invest in water-saving appliances for the household. By implementing a tax on water consumption, we hope to reduce individual households' water usages. This will generate less pressure on wastewater treatment plants during times of storm or heavy rain. Currently, with individual water usages as it is, when heavy rain or storms hit, there is significant pressure on wastewater treatment plants. During these times, wastewater goes to sewage overflow tanks that release untreated water directly into the harbor, causing long-lasting ecosystem degradation. With people using less water, these wastewater treatment plants and sewage overflow tanks will be under a lot less pressure, thus improving the quality of ecosystems in the harbor. Our solution will change the behaviors of Hamilton residents. Implementing a tax on certain levels of water consumption will incentivize households to use less water in order to save more money. Individuals will also be more inclined to invest in different home appliances that conserve water, such as low-flush toilets, low-pressure shower heads, and rain barrels. This solution will hopefully motivate Hamilton residents to conserve more water and be mindful of how delicate Hamilton Harbour and wastewater treatment is.